I'd like to say good morning to all the brothers and sisters out there in social media land. This is indeed a great day to be alive. This is the day that the Most High have made. We should be rejoicing and being glad at it. This video here is going to be specifically, for our Christian brothers, and it's going to be specifically for our Israelite brothers, and it's going to be specifically for our Islamic brothers. But it's not going to be limited to other people that are not a part of these constructs. There are going to be some things that are said that anybody can benefit off of. And the reason why is because, like we said, we're always going to try to use, we're going to use the scripture, but we're going to be using the circumstances of life to bring understanding to the scripture. And that's what the Messiah done. You know, he used the circumstances of life. When he wanted to explain to people things like why they shouldn't worry, he would say things like, look at the birds that's flying through the air. They don't sow, they don't gather, they don't store up, yet your Heavenly Father feed them. Are you not better than the birds? So if he does that for the birds, why wouldn't he do that for you? So he used the everyday scenarios of life that people could understand to paint them pictures of the kingdom of heaven so that they can be able to comprehend the word. I'd like to start this morning off by greeting all of the brothers and sisters on this morning. I'd like to say shalom to all of our Israelite brothers. Peace and blessings and greetings be upon all of our Christian brothers. And shalom alaikum to all of our Islamic brothers. And then we say to all the other brothers and sisters that happen to gravitate toward these videos that are not a part of those religious constructs, we simply saying to you, good morning. Good morning, peace and blessings. If God woke you up this morning, that means that you are still connected to him. He still has love for you. And another day you've been shown an extension of his kindness and his mercy. And these videos that we make are for you. They're for the one that is without knowledge, without understanding. They're for the one that don't have any type of direction when it comes to spiritual things. And our common ground is not what church we belong to, not what Israelite camp we belong to, or what mosque that we attend. Our common ground is the sinful nature of mankind. That's our common ground. And that is why we'll use the real life scenarios. Now, to use another man's real life scenarios will not work. You have to find the real life scenarios within your own life. And many people's ministry will not be impactful because they have too much pride to undress themselves before their brethren. You see, but when you can undress yourself before your brethren, show your brethren, you think you bad? Look at this. Look at the condition that I'm in. Yet I still love the Lord. Yet I still find a way to meditate on the scripture. Yet I'm still striving to better myself. But I am no better than you. I'm in the same condition that you are in. That's where our common ground comes from. And that's what makes the difference between whether people are going to hear you or not. Because people don't hear your words. They see your demonstration. And your life that you live in is your demonstration. Be it good things that you've accomplished or be it the bad things. All things work together for the good for them that love the Lord and are called according to his purpose. So we'll take off running. And now the reason why I said that this is going to be for the brothers within the different religious constructs. And let me show you why. Because the vast majority of us have come through Christianity. Some of the children or the young men and women that's coming up now never seen Christianity, but their parents did. You see? So we're talking about the ones that have come through Christianity. So we can't say that everybody came through Christianity, because in this hour you have people that have been knowing that they're Israel for the last 20 or 30 years, and they raised their children outside of the religious constructs. It's still something for them too. But the vast majority of us came through Christianity because Christianity is what connected us with the scripture. And for those brothers and sisters to say, well, I never came through Christianity. Well, your parents did, because they would never have no idea or no comprehension of the Bible unless they set foot in what we have come to know as Christianity. But the Christianity that the Christians serve is not the same Christianity that black people have served. For we have never had the right to partake of the richness of whatever this thing is that these other people established. Well, we got to hold to it, and we got to get out of it the good things that will come out of it. And right now in this hour, one of the biggest fights that we have in the Israelite community is they always want to keep looking at Christianity. Well, the only reason why you can expose the wicked root of Christianity is because of the information that's being made available to you in this hour. But your parents didn't have access to that information because there was no Google. There was no YouTube. There was no Wikipedia. There was nothing except what they had, which was the Bible. They didn't have all these different books, all these different commentaries so that they could learn the hidden truths. But they did have a spirit, a simple, simplistic spirit residing on the inside that caused them to be able to believe in something. And our brothers, only thing they do is spend a lot of their energy harping on Christianity, harping on Christianity. Well, you know what? As one harp on Christianity, God gonna harp on Israelite heritage, because unless the stiff-necked Hebrew come to understand that being a part of Christianity was something that God did. It wasn't something that your forefathers did, and it wasn't something that the Christians did. It was something that God did. Being a part of Islam is not something that your ancestors did. It's something that God did. And you have a twisted mentality if you can talk about something that God did as though God didn't do it, and try to build or elevate yourself to a higher level. Now, that's just truth. That's just truth. And too many times when brothers and sisters come into Israelite heritage and understanding that they have a name, they get dropped right into the middle. Right into the middle. They have no starting point for their teaching. They have no starting point. They should have a preschool. They should have a kindergarten. They should have a first grade, second grade, third. They should have a stair-step system put in place in order for them to be taught. But they get dropped right in the middle. Right in the middle of somebody talking about Adam and Eve, and then somebody talking about Abraham, then somebody talking about Moses, then somebody talking about Esau, somebody talking about Jesus, somebody talking about Paul. They get dropped right in the middle, and they can't decipher none of this stuff. And out of it comes a ball of confusion, because ain't nobody telling them about the life that Israel lived, the foolishness of Israel, the wickedness of Israel, the perversion of Israel. They're only building themselves up from the standpoint of Israel being God's chosen people, but they never learned the valuable things that cause their focus to stay on themselves and not on other people. And the Christian man is the same way, because he comes into the church or the religious construct, and in his foolish mindset, he is immediately taught that outside of Jesus, there is nothing else. But he is taught nothing about what Jesus required, nothing about the life of Jesus, nothing about what Jesus did, why he came to do it, what was the purpose behind it, and what would be the responsibility that would be left for men. And they walk around in arrogance, disassociating themselves with anybody as though they have the truth. See, ain't nobody innocent. The Islamic man is the same way. Because of the conditions that have been in this country, and because of the prison industry and things like that, men wait until their lives were destroyed and then go to prison. And right there you have a religious construct in the heart of the jailhouse waiting on you, that pits white against black, that gives you a greater source of something to lean toward. And so all of our brothers are coming out of the joint saying, "What's up, Op?" Shalom Aleichem. But they don't have no idea of the Mohammedan Arab slave trade that was 1,000 years before the transatlantic slave trade. They don't have no idea that the same people that they have hooked themselves up with were the same ones that raided and sacked our people and then converted them to Islam by the sword. They don't have no idea that when they start talking about Moors and things like that that ruled European nations in the Dark Ages for 1,000 to 1,500 years, they don't have no idea that them was they people. Those were their children and their grandchildren who had been converted by the sword and had completely lost all contact with what people that they are. They don't have no idea of these things. You see? And so when you start talking about things like America and things like Israelite or Hebrew footprints being on America, they don't understand that this is how it happened. Because we get dropped right into the middle of something, and now men start teaching the things that are important to them to control. I come to serve notice on you. Farrakhan ain't the minister for black people. Farrakhan don't speak for all black people. And it would be one thing if he can pick somewhere to stay and just stay there. But you can't say that you're a Muslim and you're over here and then lay claim on your papers and on the TV report that black people are the children of Israel. You ain't going to be the children of Israel and the children of Islam at the same time. But we go for these things because there is no starting point for our education and for our learning. And that's why I want to start right here so that I can leave a message in the sand that comes from the word of the Most High to anybody, no matter what religious construct that you are a part of. You need to understand these lessons so that you can see that you can find truth anywhere. Anywhere that men are, you can find truth. But there are also lies there that you have to be aware of. And then we're going to tell a story. Because the message I want to run home is one that touches everything. It touches all men. No matter what you say that you believe. We're going to see. We're going to know what you believe. No matter what construct you in. Because we're not knocking no construct. I'm going to tell you like this. I don't care whether it's Christianity, whether it's Islam, whether it's Israelite heritage. If what you are learning is causing your life is causing you to be a better person while you living your life with your brothers and sisters, have at it. Have at it, because there's some truth in there somewhere that you are responding to. And because of that, you are becoming a better person. We spend too much time trying to argue and trying to figure out what's right, what's wrong, what's right, what's wrong. The Christian man say, hey, anybody that don't come to church, they in the world, they in hell. Well, the Christian man, the Israelite man, he declares pretty much the same thing. Well, anybody in Christianity, they're up under the devil, they're up under the root of evil, they're going to hell. And they say the same thing about the Islamic man. And the Islamic man says, well, anybody that's outside of Islam is an infidel. And rather, infidel should be put to death. Really? Really? I wonder why would God show any man his righteousness according to the promise of Abraham that desires to separate himself or alienate himself from all of the peoples on the earth? Did not the father, who is the father of the Islamic men, through Ishmael, did not the father, who is the father of the 12 tribes of Israel through Isaac and Jacob, did not the father, who is the father of the Christianity who comes through the 12 tribes of Israel as Christ comes into the world, did not the father tell Abraham, and did not Abraham instruct his children that the father told me that all the sons and daughters of Adam on the earth would have an opportunity to be blessed if they believed as I believe? Did not he tell them that? Was not that the responsibility of every construct that will come into the world to become a bridge between God and man, that men could be able to walk across that bridge by faith and receive the promise that he told Abraham? Somebody tell me that I'm wrong. Somebody tell me that I'm a liar. Somebody that's claiming that Abraham is our father. Come on, Islamic man. Come on, my Muslim brothers. I got plenty of Muslim brothers. Come on, you say Abraham's your father. Well, if Abraham's your father, you have to do what Abraham did. How Abraham going to be your father? And God promised him that he would be the father of many nations. And you declare there's only one nation, which is you. Something don't make sense. Come on, Israelite, that the Father would promise Abraham that in his children all the families of the earth would be blessed. 12 tribes would come out of the loins of Abraham, and you wouldn't understand your responsibility, and the only thing you would cling to is that we are the chosen people. We're the chosen people. God gonna save Israel. He ain't gonna save the world. Well, that's foolishness. That would make God a lie. That would make the promise that he made to Abraham a lie as well. Come on, Christian man. You would only be birthed into existence as the Israelites who were given the mandate to go into all the world and now start teaching men the things that Christ taught, because Christ wasn't dealing with you. Christ dealt with Israel. It was Israel's responsibility. As Israel, as Paul and them and Peter and them and all them scattered into different parts of the world and started preaching Messiah, henceforth was the Christian man born. And now you think that you can supersede everything that God used to bring you in? You see, the reason why it's like this is because when we come into these things, we get dropped right into the middle of a melting pot. And we don't have no knowledge because we ain't been trained. It's like putting a kindergarten or a preschool, coming in and dropping them in a third grade class with third graders. And what you get is one big mess. So here's what I want to tell all of you. And then we're going to test what you say you believe by what the books say. Let's see. This is going to come at election 90 of the Gospel of the Holy 12. Again, the 12 were gathered in the circle of palm trees, and one of them, even Thomas, said to the other, "What is truth? For the same things appear different to different minds, and even to the same mind at different times. What then is truth?" What is truth, Christian? What is truth, Israelite? What is truth, Muslim? Because this is the question that is being asked, and this is the question that you have to deal with. And if you lay claim to the mindset that you have, or your religious construct has, the grand sum total of the Most High's truth, if you have it, you ought to be able to answer it. Come on, ISUPK, that declares you the home of truth. Well, come on here and tell us what truth really is, since you the home of it. Since you the home of the truth, you ought to be able to tell people what the truth is. But since most of you can't, we'll tell you what it is ourselves by reading what the Messiah declares truth is. And as they were speaking to Yeshua, Jesus appeared. As they were speaking, Yeshua Jesus appeared in the midst and said, "Truth, one and absolute, is in God alone. For no man, neither any body of men, knows that which God alone knows, who is all in all. To men, truth is revealed according to their capacity to understand it and receive it." The reason why there's so many arguments out here is because people don't have the capacity to understand and receive the truth that is being revealed to them. But you have some people claiming that they have the truth. But God, the truth is all in one, and it is God. And God is who reveals the truth. So how you going to declare that your construct is the truth or the home of truth? Not just singling ISUPK out, because this is what Christianity have been saying from the beginning of time, that they're the home of the truth. How you going to be the home of truth when God is the one that reveals the truth, when you don't know the mind of God? Israel, that you've been chosen. Okay, well, if you've been chosen, that means that you ought to have the mind of God. So you ought to be able to tell the brothers and sisters what truth is. And while I'm looking at this video, I don't see nobody commenting, because when I ask the question, I want some answers to come back. What is truth? Because so many people think that they have it or that they know it. So if you have the truth and you know the truth, you ought to be able to stand up as boldly as you can, declare that you have it, and tell people what it is, unapologetic and with authority. What is the truth? Jesus stood in their midst and he said to them, truth, one and absolute, is in God alone. So, brothers and sisters, as truth start being revealed and you find out that truth is in God alone, then you come to understand the value of you being hooked up with God alone. Because why would you be hooked up with men when the truth is in God? And it's alone. And the truth that men have, God has to reveal to them. And if God revealed the truth to men, ought not he reveal it to you as well? For no man, neither any body of men, no single man, nor no congregation, know that which God alone knows. But they claiming to. And if somebody is claiming to know something that only God can know, it should be a sign to you to get the hell away from them, lest you be deceived. No man or no body of men know that which God alone knows, who is the all in all. To men, truth is revealed according to their capacity to understand and to receive. One truth hath many sides, and one seeth one side only, and another seeth another, and some see more than others, according as it is given unto them. Now, let me give you an earthly example that you can understand. It says the truth has many sides. So take the life of an individual person. One person see one side. To my wife, she sees me from the standpoint of a husband. Another sees another side. To my children, they see me from the standpoint of their father. Another sees another side. My siblings see me as their brother. My nieces and my nephew see me as their uncle. My cousins see me as their cousins. He said, and some see more than others. Somebody that's outside of these things, understanding the truth, they can comprehend that you might be looking at one person. There are many sides to the truth. That's how the truth is. God put us in this world to bring examples and make his word fulfill itself. The truth have many sides. When you looking at me, you looking at the truth that God made with many sides, that one only sees one side. My wife could never see me as my children see me. My children can never see me as my wife see me. My brothers and my sisters can never see me as my children and as my wife see me. Yet there is somebody on the outside that have been exposed to truth that can see all of these different sides. You know, that's Brother Milligan. He's the one that's married to such and such. You know that those are his children right there. Yeah, that's right. That's right. Lady Lolo and Robin and Kim, that's their little brother. Yeah, that's right. That's him. And that, yep, Edsel Nimitz, that's his cousin. And all of them. You see, somebody else can see every side of the truth. But others only see one side. This is how the Most High's truth is. That's bad, ain't it? I know you never probably even thought about it like that, but that's bad. And this is the warning that the Father is giving us when we start dealing with truth. Just because my wife see me as a husband and she can't see me as a father, don't mean that she don't have truth, because she do. Just because my children don't see me as the same way my wife see me, don't mean that what my wife see ain't true. Because what my wife see come out of me is a whole nother other facet of things that are dealing with who I am and my character and my responsibility. And she can speak on those things, but the children can't comprehend them because they can't see me that way. And many times when we look, we can't receive those truths. So rather than to understand the reason why, we just immediately go to war because what we see is different. So he says, behold this crystal, how the light manifests in 12 faces. Yeah. 4 times 12. And in each face reflect the ray of light. And one regard as one face, another another. But it is the one crystal and the one light that shines in all. You know what a crystal is? Crystal is a piece of fashioned glass, or crystal is a diamond or cubic zirconia. He said, notice how the crystal has many faces. And when the light hit it, it reflects, it throws off all kind of colors, blue, red, green, orange, blue, green. It throws off, he said, each face throws off a different color, yet it is one crystal. That's the truth. That's how the truth is. No man got the grand sum total of the truth, because the truth is all in all, one in God. And he reveals the truth according to men's ability to be able to understand it. He said, behold again, when a man climbs a mountain and he attains one height, he says, this is the top of the mountain. Let us reach it. And when they have reached that height, lo, they see another beyond it until they come to that height from which no other height is to be seen, if so be they can attain it. So it is with the truth. I am the way, the truth, and the life. And I have given you truth. I have received from above. And that which is seen and received by one is not seen and received by another. That which appeared true to some seems not true to others. They who are in the valley do not see as them that are on the top of the hill. But to each is the truth as the mind seeth it. And for that time, until a higher truth shall be revealed unto the same. And to the soul which receives the higher light shall be given more light. Wherefore condemn not others, that you be not condemned. Wherefore condemn not others, that you be not condemned. Wherefore condemn not others, that you be not condemned. Why? Israelite man, you better stop condemning the Christian man because of what he don't have. What he do have, God gave him. Christian man, you better not condemn the Israelite man because you don't understand what God had given him. The Messiah is telling you, all of you have the capacity to receive some level of truth. Don't you condemn somebody else because what they have received is not what you have received. That's what the book is saying. As you keep the holy law of love, which I have given you, so shall truth be revealed more and more. And the spirit of truth, which comes from above, shall guide you, albeit through many wanderings into all truth, even as the fiery cloud guided the children through the wilderness. Now, I'm going to stop right here. Verse 8. As you keep the holy law of love, which I have given you, so shall the truth be revealed unto you more and more. Now here comes the story. Here comes the story, and then after the story, we're going to pull out another passage that we're going to begin our groundwork on. Now, when I was 10 years old, my mama moved to Minneapolis, Minnesota. She packed all the children up. She said, I want a better life. We as children come from a family that was into riotous living. They loved us. They was into riotous living. They were young, you know what I mean? And they had festivities all the time. It was all the time drinking and alcohol and fighting and all of that. And my mother eventually came to the point where she said, I want a better life. So we packed up and she moved us to Minneapolis, Minnesota. It was in Minneapolis, Minnesota that I was exposed to a whole new world. I had never seen white people. I had never been around white people. I knew nothing about how white people live, and neither did any of my brothers and sisters. Probably the only time that they ever seen them or came in contact with them was when they was at school or was at a school event or something of that nature. But here we was living in a city now to where it was a melting pot, and you had everybody. You had black people, you had Indians, you had white people, you had mixed people. You just had a melting pot of everything. We was exposed to another level, you know. And so I was 10 years old then. And then we came back to Kansas City for the Christmas holiday, begged to stay till New Year's because we missed our friends and our grandma and them. And my mother never came back. Well, my mother got murdered, and she never was able to come back and get us. So we spent in Minneapolis, Minnesota. We stayed there almost a year. But I had fell in love with something about Minnesota. That when we came back to live with our daddy. Our daddy had kind of evolved and changed his life. So he was remarried and he was going to church and everything. And so he began to take us to church. And it was through church that we start learning the scripture. We start learning from hearing the preacher. It was through this church that we had to go every Sunday. And we had to go to these things. But we were learning. We were learning things that was putting foundation upon us as far as what was right, what was wrong. We wasn't learning about deep things like Israelite heritage, because the preachers didn't know any of those things. That was truth that had not yet been revealed. But we were learning the simplistic things about truth. Honor your father and your mother. Boy, you shouldn't be doing this. Boy, I better not catch you out here doing this. Boy, God gonna get you if you don't straighten up. We learned those things. And as I got grown and start coming into my teenage years, when I got about 17 years old, one of my cousins came from Minnesota, and he said, boy, I got it going on up here. You know, I got it going up on, I got about 9 cars, cuz if you done got old enough, you ain't doing that, you need to come on up here and hang out with me. So I did. And at 17 years old, my daddy released me into the hands of my cousin. I never went back to my daddy's house, but I went to Minnesota at 17 years old, and I said, now it's time for me to learn how to be a man, because I can't go back home being a failure. And even though I wasn't there to live, I was only going to be there for the summer. That became my practice. It got me used and exposed to what Minnesota was like as a teenager. And you know, when you're a teenager and you're 17 years old, you're a girl crazy. And Minnesota has some of the most beautiful, some of the most pretty girls you ever wanted to see in your life. And it was no thing, because their greatest desire is for a white woman to have a black man. And you know what? And that's how you have a melting pot of mulattoes in Minneapolis, because most of the couples up there are mixed and they produce beautiful children with flowing long hair. That right there made me fall totally in love with Minnesota. It wasn't like the city that I was coming in, where you didn't have nothing but sisters and they had attitudes and they didn't want to be, you know what, they picked and chose. They wanted the older guy, or they wanted the guy that had the car. They wanted it. But when you got here, it was somebody for everybody. And didn't no man have no problem hooking up with no woman. That's why Minnesota was one of the places that became the capital for pimping. You see? And after I learned how to move and bob and weave up there in Minnesota, I was like, cool, that's grand. But when I came back home, I realized, man, I'm back in the same rut. I'm back in the same place. I ain't got access to the same thing. The age things was different. In Kansas City, you had to be 21 to go into a nightclub. In Minnesota, you only had to be 18. And I was 17 with a full beard and had good sense. And I could slide by anybody because of my conversation, because I seemed like I was grown even though I wasn't. Come back to Kansas City. I started beauty school. I said if I wasn't going to graduate from high school, which I hated school, I didn't feel like school had anything to offer me, period. I felt like that school was a systematic scheme back then when I was a kid to do something for us that was no good for us. That was my feeling. So I hated school. I never went to school. I was very intelligent, didn't have no problem doing the work, but the work was too simple. It was beneath me. I could run circles around everybody else when I was in school, but I couldn't go to school. I hated it. So my school people, they looked at me like I was some type of failure because I didn't have no dealings with no basketball games, no football games. I didn't want to go to nothing, none of your school events. I'd rather be out there in the streets with the old heads, learning some real life lessons. That was my mindset. That was my mindset. So I went to beauty school. And while I was in beauty school, I got all the way down to my 8th month. My 8th month. I had missed a few days, so I needed money in order to get my last few hours in so that I can complete my stuff. And that summer, I got a phone call from my cousin. He said, "Hey, Meech, we need to come up to Minnesota. I got a cousin named Papa who had been murdered." He said, "We need you to come up to Minnesota. Somebody killed Papa." I said, "Wow. We need you to come up here and get his horse." I said, "What? You need to come up here and get his horse?" I'm a young man. Oh, that's right up my alley. Oh, that's right up my alley. That's my great dream, to be able to live in this world and make money and then have access to all the women in the world. Oh, that was right up my alley. I ain't know nothing about being no pimp. I ain't know nothing about none of that, but I was on my way. Got into the neighborhood crap game, won me bus fare, and hit the bus with no bus fare back, and that's what I went to do. And I went right up there to do that. I'm going to be a pimp now. You see? I'm going to be a pimp. And the first prostitute that I got burnt me when I had sex with her. Because I ain't no dude. I'm out here. I'm still a virgin. I only had sex one time in Kansas City. Now I'm in Minnesota, where I figure this is the opportunity for me to educate myself. This is the opportunity for me to learn how to work my willie, you know what I mean? To be able to drop the hammer, and then, you know, it's what it is. So this is what happened. So I did that, and then the next thing I know, I'm leaking. Right? Well, okay. That made me feel a little bit better about putting a girl on the street. You see? Oh, she done burnt me. She definitely got to pay for this. You know what I mean? And I wasn't no gorilla dude. I ain't never put my hands on a woman in my life. And that's something that I couldn't do. But I seen other pimps doing it. So, but here's the thing. When I got the girl, I couldn't do what everybody else was doing. I have her going here and going there and bringing back money, but I couldn't do it. It was something inside of me that would not let me do it. It was something inside of me that was causing me to feel bad. Boy, you know you ain't got no business doing it. Boy, you know your daddy didn't raise you like this. Boy, you know that's wrong. Boy, you know that's your sister. Boy, you know that's... How you gonna go against God? See, it was something on the inside that had been put there when I came in contact with the Christian church that I never was able to shake. So ain't nobody gonna ever come and tell me that you ain't get nothing good out of Christian church, the black church. You mix the black church up with what the white people have been doing. And you don't have the ability to draw lines of distinction between the two because you ain't never been through preschool or kindergarten or elementary. You have been dropped into a place where you didn't get the right understanding about what truth was. Truth that had been instilled after my mother had died. Through the course of 7 years, from 10 to 17, there was some truth that got put there as my daddy drugged me to church that I could not shake. even when I got to be a grown man. You see? And I couldn't do it. And I remember calling a cab at 3 o'clock in the morning and getting to the bus station and coming back home. And on the way out the door, my cousin woke up and said, "Where you going?" I gave him $500. And I said, "Cuz, take care of this girl. Make sure that the rent is paid so that she can have a running start to take care of herself, that she don't end up out on the street. Here's a month rent to pay everything, but I can't do this no more." And I got in the cab and I went home. That was the first lesson I learned about what was on the inside of me. You see? There was some truth down there. I had came in contact with some truth when my daddy started taking me to church as a kid that was guiding me in good, solid direction. And because of that, as a young man, I had respect for the church. You jokers now ain't got no respect. You ain't got no respect for nothing. You ain't learned the things in church that you should have learned. You only look at the things that you ain't got no business looking at. Your people didn't know nothing about Saturnalia. They didn't know nothing about Roman Catholicism. They didn't know nothing about the Pope. They didn't know nothing about this, but they did know about thou shalt not steal. Thou shalt not kill. Thou shalt not bear false witness against thy neighbor. Thou shalt not cheat or commit adultery on your wife. Thou shalt not sleep with your neighbor's woman. They did know to honor the Lord, honor thy father and thy mother, that thy days may be long. You see, they knew honor, keep the Sabbath holy. They didn't know about the true Sabbath because that truth hadn't been revealed to them. But they did understand that the Sabbath that they did know about, they knew to keep it holy. And every Sunday morning, we was up waiting for church. If they would have knew that the Sabbath was Saturday, they would have operated the same way. You see, they had truth. They didn't have the grand sum total of it, but they had enough. They had what God meant for them to have. Because you can only receive truth when you have the mind to be able to receive it. And this is why I tell you young bucks, don't keep coming out there trying to go and tell your older folks something. They can only receive the truth that God gives them the ability to receive, give them the understanding to receive. If He give it to you, then you go and learn how to live by it before you start going trying to tell somebody what they should do while you're talking about what's wicked this, what's wicked that. Well, didn't you understand to put your mouth on your brother is wicked, to condemn your brother is wicked? Have you not read, since you got the truth, that why would you behold the mote or the speck that's in your brother's eye when you got a log hanging out of your own? What is the log? The log is you ain't learned how to live by the truth that you know, yet you're trying to condemn somebody else for what they don't know. And in God's eyes, you're the one that's going to be removed from the earth because you're the one that's walking in wickedness. So the pimp thing, it didn't work. It didn't work. So that was one way that God pulled me away from His truth, from men. And when I look out over the course of my life, God has constantly been pulling me away from men, pulling me away from men. And I then went from one place to the other. So I can go into a whole lot of different areas, but I wanted to start with that starting point right there, because I want to ask the brother this question. That was my issue. But here's the issue. How do you feel? What's your issue? How do you feel when you climb out of a bed that you ain't supposed to be in? How do you feel when you lay down with a woman? I'm just being serious. I'm being real. You got to be able to get in contact with yourself, because there is a way that you feel after you do something. When I come back home, I was going to be a player. I done been exposed to the women. And see, even though it's not something that's resonating in me. There's a facade on the outside that I got to uphold. Oh yeah, Michi's up there, he pimping now. He got him hoes now. He doing that. But that wasn't really in my heart, so I couldn't do it. But when I came back home, player game and catching women, when all along I can hear what I learned from my daddy. If she ain't good enough to marry, then she shouldn't be good enough to lay with. And I start going against the grain of all of that. And every time I climbed out of a woman's bed that I had no intention on marrying, it made me feel a certain kind of way. And I'm asking you, brothers, how do you feel when you got to get up out the bed and start putting your clothes back on? How do you feel getting up out the bed with a woman that you don't even know her inner workings and you're standing there naked? How do you feel while you're putting your drawers back on? How do you feel while you're putting your pants in? And most of the time you got to turn your back because you can't even look the woman in her eye. How do you feel about it? How did it make you feel? Because when you can get in touch with that, now you're on to something. How did it make you feel? It didn't make me feel good. It didn't make me feel good. How did it make me feel when I got married? Because another reason why I came back from Minnesota is because the young girl that I was with here had gotten pregnant and called to interrupt me right when I'm in the middle of pimping and trying to get my thing on. I'm pregnant, and I can hear my daddy's voice in my ear. I can still hear the things that I learned while I was sitting in church. Everybody had high hopes for little Michi. Everybody had high hopes for little Michi. Oh, he gonna grow up. Oh, he gonna be this. Oh, he gonna be that. And look at little Michi. Look at him. Look at him. Going against the grain of everything that he was taught to do. How did it make you feel when you know that you went against the grain of everything that the people that love you brought you up to? How did it make you feel? How do it make you feel? You can tell how it made me feel by looking in my eyes and listening to my mouth. This is how it made me feel. It made me feel like this. I could pull the money out of my pocket. I could drive up in a nice ride, smoking the fire's weed. But how did it make you feel on the inside? You see? The people that love me had high hopes for me. God forbid that they would hear. God forbid that the pastor that would lay his hands on me. God forbid that little Michi who would go in the back and lay down and go to sleep and wake up and everybody was gone. Nobody but him left, locked in the church. Be comfortable and just lay down and go back to sleep until somebody noticed that I was gone. That one right there, how do you think, how did it make you feel when you know that you're going all the way against the grain? So when she got pregnant, I came back home, but I didn't want to be with her. I wanted to do my own thing. And so even though we got married, I never done right. And how did it make you feel, brother, when you got a wife at home that's bearing your children, but you ain't content? You ain't content with her. How does it make you feel, brother? How do it make you feel when you know that you got a wife at home that's dealing with your children, but you in a bed of a woman that don't care nothing about your wife, you or your children? How did it make you feel while you was upholding your ego when you caught it and you felt good about that? But when you climbed out of that bed and all of that truth started coming back to you about what a fool you was being, how did it make you feel? Eventually, it drove me into a place to where I started losing everything. Even lost that woman. You see? How did it make you feel? You see? Because that's the thing with men. We think that these things are going to add some type of feeling to us. And that's what I thought. And there came a time, the last chick this happened with, After I got up out of that bed, I felt like I had dirt on me that couldn't come off. I felt so dirty and so dingy that I just sat there and I just cried like a baby because I couldn't understand what was wrong with me. Why do I keep on doing this stuff? Why do I keep on doing this stuff? And then it's like the Spirit starts speaking to me. You know, I know your desires you got in your heart. You want to be something, but that's not the way to do it. You're going about it the wrong way. You see? Because you keep entering into places that breed God's judgment. And now we're talking about fornication and adultery, because these are the things that touch every religious construct. I don't care what you say you're a Christian. You can't escape fornication and adultery. I don't care that you're an Israelite. You can't escape fornication and adultery. Many of our Israelite brothers have become so, they want to twist the scripture so bad to where you can't escape fornication and adultery. You try to make legitimate having 3 and 4, 5 wives just so you can commit fornication and adultery. To our Islamic brothers, it's the same thing. You can't escape that. How did it make you feel to know that you're going against the very grain of all of the righteousness that you're trying to attain? You undo it all with one act. How did it make you feel? I felt dirty and I felt dingy, and I came to the conclusion that I wasn't no player. I was a payer, because I was paying these women with my life when I knew that the scripture said, give not thy strength unto women. He was talking about your strength is in your loins, and every time you ejaculate, there is strength and power that goes out of you. And God said, do not give your strength unto no woman, lest you're going to find yourself on the side of the road, all withered up and all shrinking up with no power, because you can't outdo no woman. And while you was thinking that you was a player, you wasn't no player. You've been set up. They seen you before your car hit the block and turned the corner. They seen you coming. They knew what they was going to do. They knew when you was going to get it. They knew what place you was going to get it in. They knew how it was going to get it. You've been set up, because that is how the enemy strategically uses a woman to cause a man to stumble. But a real man, you want to be a real man, stand yourself up and declare, I'm fearfully and marvelously made, created in God's image. I'm too much man to be laying around with some rot gut woman trying to zap all of my strength. And I stood my butt up, hurt and broken and already done left the wife. And I stood my butt up straight and I said, no more. And I was a beauty. I was a hairstylist at the top of his game. Had some of the most beautiful corporate women in this city. Not just coming from Kansas City, but they came from St. Joseph. They came from Leavenworth. And anybody can tell you that they came from all over this state to sit in the chair of one that was a bad boy when it came to making women beautiful. And when they know that you're going through a divorce or struggling or something like that, it ain't nothing. I done watched them come in a beauty shop and start pulling their clothes off in the shampoo bowl. And I done seen it all. I done it in beauty shop chairs, on the floor, all outside, in the backyard, in the back of car seats, in trucks, and I did it everywhere. At the end of the day, I was the fool. How did it make you feel? How did it make you feel, little Michi, that all your friends calling you a player? But look at what cost that is happening. How did it make you feel? How did it make you feel when you thought about your daddy? How you was going against the grain of everything he taught you? How did it make you feel while you was disrespecting the old mama that you said you love? I know you said, I'll kill a brick behind my mama, but how you gonna go out there and kill these women with the same brick? You see, how did it make you feel? How did it make you feel, brother? Because you got to get in touch with what you feel like. You got to get in touch with what you feel like. This is my story that I'm telling you to help you understand this next scriptures that's coming at you. How did it make you feel? It made me feel like I was a lowlife. I was ragged. I was nothing. I was worthless. And I had so much stuff on me that I began to screw up myself. And I began to cry and screw up myself and tell the Father, make me clean. Make me clean. I feel dirty. I feel like I got dirt on me. Every time I lay with a woman, it's more dirt. It's more dirt. And now I got a mind that got so many wild memories running through it. How am I going to get a good woman when I got all this stuff running through my mind? How am I going to dedicate my life to this woman right here when I still got images of Mad Maggie and what she done to me? Wayward Rachel and what she done to me? Shaniqua and what she done to me? I got images of women and what they done to me, and I don't even know their name. Can't even recall their name. Some of them's faces I have forgotten about, but I have not forgotten about the act. And that is what the Most High used. He said, you're dirty, you're filthy, you got a stench on you, and ain't nobody can clean you up but me. And that's what I'm saying to some of my brothers. That's what I'm saying to some of my brothers. You either gonna be a righteous man or you're going to be a fool. And it ain't no in-between ground. So when we start dealing with what truth is, you got to be able to be truthful with yourself first. Because before you can deal with truth with anybody, you got to come face to face with the truth that's dealing with your own self. See, I can deal with the truth about myself. That's what God give me to magnify his word. That's what he give me to propel and boost my ministry. That's what he give me to raise my brothers up. When I open up my eyes this morning and I go and sit on the toilet and the Spirit starts speaking, he said, this what you going to go. I don't know how he just dropped that into my mind. You're going to go out there and you're going to talk to your brother today about fornication, but you're going to use the life scenario that you had when you was pimping and when you was a player and when you was doing all of them things, and you're going to show the Israelite man that God worked through you by keeping those things you learned in Christianity connected to you when you didn't know nothing else. That was the thing that convicted you. Then you're going to go back. You're going to raise somebody up. You see, I have a problem with the Christian church as it is too. Yirmiyahu. I have a problem with that. But I'm content and rest comfortably in the fact that there is truth that can be found on every level of life. You see, all the people that come through the church are not going to be deceived. One of the things that the church had over Israelite heritage is that the church had a starting point, because they are like the ABC principles of the faith. When you go in there, you're going to learn Jesus came, Jesus died, Jesus rose. And that's what you're going to hear every Sunday until that simplistic thing sticks into a person's mind. No, they don't have the deep hidden truth of Israelite heritage because it wasn't revealed to them. But that don't mean that that's where people going to stop. See, I didn't stop right there. And I didn't know that the Most High was going to keep me. You didn't stop right there. And you got to understand that your brothers ain't going to stop right there neither. As they get to the place to where they understand they have gotten all that they can get, it is God that will wake a man's mind up. He'll show him where he's supposed to be. So we just keep on pushing. Now, that's my story. So the Most High began to scrub me and wash me clean. And I stood up. And I said, I'm fearfully, marvelously made, creating in the image of God. No more. I realized that I wasn't using the women. They was using me. So I said, no more. No more. And I wasn't going to get no other woman to help me get through that divorce that I was going through. I said, no more. It's done. Here I look at 3.5 years later. I'm still in abstinence. 3.5 years later, ain't no woman still been able to get me to lay down with her. Oh, I cracked like glass one time because I had to stop everything that I was doing in order to do that, climb over that hurdle. And one night I went to a retirement party with one of my elder brothers at church, and I had some wine. I hadn't been drinking, I hadn't been clubbing for about 3 years. And after that, I said, oh man, I got to do something, man. I got to do something. And you know what? I snatched the woman out of a club and went and laid down, and I'm telling you the honest to God truth. All that stuff came right back. Soon as I put my clothes on, all of it came right back, and I knew from there, it's over. It's over. It's over, devil. It's over. I thank you, Lord, you let me get that release out, but it's over. It's over. It's over. I can see it crystal clear. So ultimately, I walked down about 3.5 years of abstaining from sex with women. And what that did is that gave me the ability to see women for what they were. that gave me the ability to see things for what they were. It gave me the ability to analyze what it was that I wanted with my life and what type of woman I wanted to spend my life with. And because sexuality hadn't entered into the play, I could see crystal clear. I could look at everything with a woman and I could see the smallest thing, say, you know what, but that ain't gonna work. That ain't gonna work right there. You know what I mean? And I did all of that until one day I got Sweetie Pie. When I came across Sweetie Pie, the Most High said it's over. But one day he said, whoever rejects me, you got to reject them. So I started playing gospel rap music and that gospel music in the beauty shop, and everybody that was turned off by it, they started losing them. Any woman that was turned, see, that's how I was going to be able to tell of those that would accept the Most High, those that would reject him. It had to be put in their face. That's something that the Most High, that's a part of the process that I went through with my life. Everybody else's life might not be like that, but I'm just using my life to paint you a story for when I get ready to open up this scripture, you can understand the process that I went through. That's my process. But some of the things are still the same. You got to look at yourself, and you got to look the truth about yourself in the face. Because that's what I had to do. You see? And it was nice women that I wanted to be for candidates, but they wouldn't accept God. And I was like, man, this is ridiculous. I ain't never going to find a woman. Yeah. No. So that's what that is. But that fornication thing, man, it was something, man. I never had no idea that what I wanted in life was going to send me in that direction. And it was something. So to my brothers, here's what I want to read to you. We already dealt with truth and what truth is. Now let's deal with where you stack up. Where you stack up at it. Because sometimes you can start learning and you can start walking. After you've been through your struggles, you start learning. See, me, I've already been through my struggles and I just start working. But you notice this one thing, I don't forget about mine. All of my struggles and all my failures, they are used to bring people to a greater understanding of this word. Everybody don't operate like that. Some people go on and get over their struggles and then come back dealing with nothing but truth. And all of the truth ain't none of it pertaining to the things that they done when they was in their foolish acts. See, sometimes people don't want to talk about themselves. They don't want to talk about the failures that they've been and the dumb stuff that they don't want to talk about being on crack, being up 2 or 3 days, losing everything. They don't want to talk about that. They don't want to talk about being no pimp and being no player, misusing women and all that stuff. They don't want to talk about that stuff. They don't want to talk about putting poison into the hands of people who ain't got no lights, gas, or water, and their children running around with diapers on that ain't been changed. They don't want to talk about how you done been the one to go in there, take all their food stamps and everything, and then go barbecue for the community. They don't want to talk about those things, but those are the things that I've seen with my life. So if you ever wonder why I don't play with people, this is why. Because I done those things. They don't want to talk about that. They don't want to talk about being to put bullet holes in somebody's child, somebody's husband, somebody's father, because of a few pieces of crack. They don't want to talk about that. That's my life. That's what I've been through. People say, oh, he hollered, he carried on there, he cried. That's my life. This is what I live with. Yeah, God brought me through it, but it's what he gave me when it comes to delivering his word. Because his word got to be made real and it got to be made plain. And I can't use the foolishness of your life to do it. I have to use the foolishness of mine. So even though those things are long gone in the past, God brings them right back as though they ain't never left. They ain't never went nowhere. So I don't mind. I'll cry if I want to. And if you don't like it, you can turn the video off. Now, weeping may endure for a night, but joy comes in the morning. It's nighttime when I'm telling the story, because by way of the Spirit, I am like the Christmas carol. The Spirit transports me right back to that particular time, and all those feelings and all those emotions are made real again. And then in the morning, when I start reading this scripture, my joy comes and breaks out. It lets me know, look at what you learned while you was there. Look at what you've been through. Look at the impact that you're having. Look at how you're helping your brothers. Look at how many of them see things now that they didn't see before the video started. See, the joy will come in the morning. Many of you just want the joy. You just want the joy. You want the praise. You want the respect. But you don't want to get on the face. You don't want to get on your face. You don't want to undress yourself butt naked where they can see the scars and see the wounds and see how messed up you are up under the nice clothes, up under the car, up under the money, up under the house. You don't want to see what's up under all that stuff. And the reason why you got all this stuff is to keep it covered up. But every now and then, God will start taking it off. Whoever ever wonder what it'll be like if a tornado came through and blew the roof off of your house? Oh, we thought he had a wonderful marriage. We thought his kids was everything. No, when God blow the roof off your house and give people the ability to look in there, what they thought they seen won't be what it looks like when he take the cover off. Y'all can pretend if y'all want to. I tell you all the time, this is real life over here. Yep. And we gonna laugh, but we gonna cry too. We're going to be calm, and then we're going to be blown out the water with excitement. We're going to soothe you, and then we're going to holler and scream and yell at you all at the same time. Now, let's go. Let's ask the brothers how they feel. How they feel. Testament of Reuben. That's where we're going. Because I'm telling you, that stuff started changing my life. That fornication, man, was a deadly thing. And you know what? Let me tell you this. I know some of you wouldn't tell this. When I was having my third child, my wife was in the hospital. And she worked for the hospital, but it was the same hospital that we have our children in. She was 9 months pregnant and was due any day. And I'm in the beauty shop, and I done got tangled up with some little raggedy, rot gut little chick. But she had a nice body. And because of who I was, they was throwing it at me. I mean, I could get it anywhere. It could be people in the beauty shop, man. I can go in there and get it in the bathroom, you know what I mean? And, wouldn't come out smiling and whistling. But, man, I stuck my willy up in that chick, man, and next thing I know, man, my thing was on fire. I was peeing out blood and everything. And after I left from getting checked and getting medicine and everything, I had to go straight to the hospital. I went straight to the hospital, man, and I had to tell my wife, that was my wife then, I had to tell my wife, I'm sorry. I done it again. She was always catching me with women. I never was faithful through the whole marriage. But now I'm coming to the place where God is dealing with me. And I really want to make some changes, but I keep getting tripped up. And this part, it was tripped up. I said, I messed up again. And I just seen in her face, it just, But then I said, I done caught something. This is when AIDS first blew out and was running rapid, killing people. I said, I done caught something. I didn't have AIDS, but from the drive to the facility to getting to the hospital, the Most High had beat me half to death. Because he made me start thinking, man, if this was AIDS, man, your baby dead, your wife dead. What's going to happen to the children? Look at you in this foolishness. How long you going to keep going through this stuff in order to make your mind up, in order to change? I was grateful that the Most High blessed me that it wasn't AIDS. But now I had to go and tell her because she was 9 months pregnant, due any day. And I had to go and tell her. And when I told her I had contracted something, man, I just watched all the life that was in her just drain out. And it was a rough bout because that child when that child was born, my wife couldn't stand to look at her. She couldn't stand to look at her. She couldn't hold her. She couldn't feed her. She couldn't change her diaper. And that was the child that came out looking like me. Big, brown, pretty eyes. We went through that, man. That was devastating. That devastated her. That's my foolishness did that. So I got to come out the streets now because I got to make sure that the baby is taken care of. I got to feed the baby. My wife couldn't even stand for the baby to be in the same bed. I had to sleep with the baby on my chest every day. Now I got to feed the baby. I got to change the baby's diaper. I got to take the baby everywhere with me that I went because my wife couldn't do it. Listen, man, I'm telling you, fornication and adultery are amongst the most destructive forces in this world. And they are also one amongst the most detestable forms of wickedness against God in this world. Brother, if you fornicate, you're going to have to find a way to change. If you committing adultery and you cheating on wife, you're going to have to find a way to do it. No matter how hard she tried, she could not pull herself together. My daughter is 28 years old to this day. Every November that comes around on her birthday, my wife feels that same thing. 28 years, she ain't never got over it. Ain't ever got over it. Because it's going to be a reminder of the foolish things that I done to her all the days of our life. And after that, I had enough. I had a made up mind that I was going to do better. I was going to do better. I was going to do better. But it was too late. She tried, but she couldn't get over that. She tried. She tried with everything, but she couldn't make it through that. So the marriage eventually ended. And whose fault was it? It was my fault. A good thing destroyed. A great thing destroyed. Right to this day, my oldest child is 35 years old. My youngest child is 25 years old. And I'm still paying child support. You see? Because she have never gotten over what I done to her. My child support ended almost 6 years ago. And here's another $50,000 got put on top of it. You know why? Because she could never get over what I done to her. And even though all them years done went by, sometime the way it comes out in the treatment. You know what I mean? And they can smile and they can laugh and they can still joke. But at the end of the day, it's something going on behind the scenes that make you understand they ain't never gotten over that. That's something that I done. You see? And so I was willing to sacrifice everything and said, I ain't fornicating no more. I don't care what nobody say. I want to get the wife, and I ain't cheating on my wife. Me and my wife been together now longer than my first marriage. We've been together for 20 years now. I ain't cheated on her. I ain't went outside. I ain't had no desire. Because you know what? God put a question in my mind to stop me if I ever thought about it. He said, I want you to ask yourself this one question. I don't care how fine the woman is. I don't care what she offering you. I want you to ask yourself this one question. Y'all want to know what the one question is? If you want to know what the one question is, put a 7 up there and I'll wait. If you want to know what the one question is, put a 7 up there. Okay? I see brothers and sisters want to know what the 7 want. Y'all want to know what the question is. He said, I'm going to give you one question that I'm going to put in your mind. He said, if you ever find yourself in this position, I want you to ask yourself this question. If you do this, is this the question you ask yourself? Ask yourself, how can I do this to Sweetie Pie? That's the one question he gave me. How can I do this to her? And because that one question was going to open up all that she had meant to me. How could I do this to her? How could I do this to Sweetie Pie when she cares for me so much? How could I do this to Sweetie Pie when she trusts me so much? How could I do this to Sweetie Pie when out of all the people and all the family and all the friends that I got, she loves me this much? How could I do this to the woman that would bend over backwards to me? How could I do this? He said, you ask yourself this one question. How can you do this to her? Because when you get to how can you do this to her, it's going to come the reason why. You'll be the biggest fool in the world to do it. And that one question stops me. Now, brothers and sisters, this is not a message, it's not a judgmental message. That's why a lot of times I use my own life story and my own foolishness to show brothers that when we start dealing with this word, I got common ground with you, and I ain't ashamed to tell you. I've probably been a bigger fool than most of you. You know what I mean? And that's probably why I got so much word in me, because the level of my foolishness done ran so deep. So let's go, and we're going to read this, and we're going to show you why. And sisters, you're going to learn something about this. Because though the man may be playing the fool, he can't play the fool by himself. And at the end of the day, it ain't the man that catches you. You systematically set that man up to fall in pits. And so though he may be fornicating, you are the one that's leading him into fornication. Though he may be committing adultery, you are the one that's leading him into adultery. And since we're dealing with this is what we want the brothers to see. You ain't leading that woman nowhere. She's leading you into a bad place. And sister, if this is you, you better find a way to overcome, or you better find a way to get on your face. He says, this is the testament of Reuben. Pay no attention, therefore, my children, to the beauty of women, nor set your mind on their affairs, but walk in singleness of heart in the fear of the Lord, and expend labor on good works, and on study, and on your flocks, until the Lord gives you a wife, whom he will, that ye suffer not as I did. See, I'm speaking like Reuben. Reuben is speaking to his sons because of the way that he have suffered in his life from the bad decisions that he have made. And no matter how detestable the decisions is, he have to tell them so that they don't fall into the same trap. He said, for until my father's death, I had not boldness to look in his face or to speak to any of my brethren because of my reproach. Even until now, my conscience caused me anguish on the account of my impiety. And yet my father comforted me much and prayed for me unto the Lord, that the anger of the Lord might pass from me, even as the Lord showed, and sent forth, and thenceforth until now, I have been on my guard, and I've sinned not. Therefore, my children, I say unto you, observe all things whatsoever I command you, and you sin not. I say unto my brothers and his children, observe all the things that he is about to command you. For a pit unto the soul is the sin of fornication, is separating the soul from God and bringing it near to idols, because it deceives the mind and the understanding, and it leads down the young men to hell before their time. For many has fornication destroyed, because though a man be old or noble, or rich or poor, he bringeth reproach upon himself with the sons of men, and derision with Beliar. For ye heard regarding Joseph, how he guarded himself from a woman, and purged his thoughts from all fornication, and found favor in the sight of God and men. For the Egyptian woman did many things unto him, and summons magicians, and offered him love potions, but the purpose of his soul submitted to no evil. Now let me show you something, brothers. Here you got Joseph. Joseph is in the house with Potiphar. And while Potiphar is gone, Potiphar's wife, it says she did many things to him. Sometimes she would walk through the house with her sleeping stuff on while her husband was gone. She did many things to him. Sometimes she walked by and looked at him and winked at him. Sometimes she might walk by and touch him or something like that. She did many things to him. Sometimes he might be doing his work and she might come over there in her lingerie and blow in his ear. She did many things to him. And those things didn't work. Have you ever had a woman that was real sensuous? And I'm not talking about somebody's wife. It could just be just a sister that you've been dating or something. That she'll come strolling around in that teddy. Or strolling around. I'm talking about before you have sex with her. Before you have sex with her. She knows what to do to get you aroused. She might come and blow in your ear or something. But this is what the woman was doing to Joseph. You see? And when women know how to arouse me, you sisters, you know what I'm talking about. You on here, you know what I'm talking about. Y'all ain't got to say nothing, but I know y'all know what I'm talking about. You know how to arouse a man. You know what to do to a man before you ain't had sex with him yet. You know what to do to him to bring him to the place to where he start bubbling on the inside, where his nature start rising. You know what to do to a man. This is what the woman done to Joseph. He said he guarded himself from the woman and purged his thoughts from fornication and found favor in the sight of God and men. That's our father Reuben. It said, that was regarding Joseph. It said, well, the Egyptian woman did many things to him. Then she summons magicians. She summons magicians. She tried to use magic on Joseph. See, back then, they didn't have no porn channel. They didn't have no porn hub. No NXXX. They didn't have no X videos. They didn't have no porn back then. She summons magicians. And magicians create images. She summons magicians to create images for Joseph. It wasn't real. It was just images. But magicians had a power to create images, just like the same way they had the power to create the image of the snake when Moses dropped his staff down. They create images. I would like to believe the images that were created were the images of naked women, of pornographic stuff. She summons magicians and she used love potions. Everybody know about what Bill Cosby was talking about the Quaaludes. Back in the 70s, it was the Spanish fly. You know what I'm saying? All these different love potions. Some of them could be the perfume. Some of them could be the fragrance and the oil that gets burnt, that causes the atmosphere. See, she used magic and love potions on Joseph. Come on, brothers. Have you ever had a sister using these love potions and this magic on you to bring you into a place of fornication? Because that's the only way you can get there. These things have to be used on you. And come on, sisters, I'm going to teach you something about yourself that you didn't know. Because, see, if the brother didn't know it, you didn't know it. So something been behind the scenes controlling you that your brother ain't been aware of. When your brother is aware of it and he sees it start controlling you, he can rise up and rebuke it and tell you, you're too valuable of a woman. I couldn't even let you do it. You're fearfully and marvelously made, created in the image of God. Your body is your sanctuary. Holy. That's what a man that can see clear can do to build a woman up. Watch, let's keep reading. He said, for the Egyptian women did many things to him, summoned magicians, offered him love potions, but the purpose of his soul admitted to no evil. Therefore, the God of your fathers delivered him from every evil and hidden in death. For fornication if fornication overcomes not your mind, neither can Beliar overcome you. Because fornication got to overcome your mind first. You see? And that's why I tell you, brother, you ain't did nothing. It's that sister that did it. you got brought into a wicked act of fornication. Your mind got overcame first. Now, watch. For evil are women, my children, since they have. Now, I want you to get this, sisters. It says, for evil are women. Don't mean evil or women are evil. You got to hear the whole thing. It says, for evil are women, my children, since they have no power or strength over man to use wiles. They use wiles by outward attractions, that they may draw them to themselves. See, women are not evil until they get to this point, because this is what makes a woman evil. For evil are women, my children, and since they have no power or strength over the man, they use wiles by outward attractions, that they may draw him to themselves. Come on, brothers. You see how you get the fornication? You see, it's an evil that takes place in a woman because she don't have the power to just make you lie down with her. So when she starts using outward attractions and wiles to draw you to her, she have moved into a place of evil because she is systematically setting you up. So outward attractions is dealing with the makeup and the beautifying of the eyelids. Outward attractions is dealing with the shirts that shows the cleavage, the push-up bras, the short skirts. Outward attractions are the fancy hairdos, the earrings and the pearls, all the things that make a woman good to look at. That is what draws a man. You see? But what you don't understand, that right there is an evil act that have been committed by women, because they're using this outward attraction and wiles to draw you into a place that you don't have no business being in. And hear me, sister, this is the word teaching you something about yourself that you probably didn't know, because when you get in a bathroom and start getting dressed up, your intention probably ain't even this. You probably ain't even aware of it, but there's something down on the inside of you that's going to use all of this stuff for what it is. And why else do a woman do it? When she get ready to go out, why else do she go the extra mile to make sure that she's looking good, to be in the full length mirror, looking at her booty and looking at her titties and making sure that everything? Why else is she doing it? She's doing it because she wants to draw a man to her. He says, and whom they cannot bewitch by outward attractions, they overcome them by craft. That means that when they can't get the man that they want because of the way that they look by outward attractions, they come another way. They get crafty with it. They start using other means to try and do it. They might walk by and say something to you, look you in your eyes. Okay, my cleavage ain't working on him. He don't care nothing about how big my booty is. I'm going to have to go up there and look in his face. I'm going to have to put some words on him. Watch this, watch this, watch this. And whom they can't bewitch by outward attractions, they overcome by craft. Moreover, concerning them, the angel of the Lord told me and taught me that women are overcome by the spirit of fornication more than men. And in their heart they plot against men, and by means of adornment they deceive first their mind. Oh man, she fine. Oh, she bad. And by the glance of the eyes they instill the poison. You know how they do it. And then, through the accomplishment of the act, they take them as captives. For a woman cannot force a man openly, but by a harlot's bearing she beguiles him. Therefore flee fornication, my children, and command your wives and daughters that they adorn not their heads and their faces to deceive the minds of men. Because every woman who uses these wiles have been reserved for eternal punishment. For thus they allure the, won't tell me how bad no sister is. You can't tell me nothing about how bad no sister is. For she was so attracted and could be her and could do herself that good. Look at what it says. It says, for this they were so attractive, for thus they allured the watchers. The watchers are the angels that came here in order to oversee humanity. And they were so bad by making themselves beautiful and using these wiles of outward attraction and adornment that they caused the angels that came from another dimension to stop in their tracks. He said they allured the watchers who were before the flood, for as these continually beheld them, they lusted after the women, and they conceived in the act of their mind, for they changed themselves into the shape of men and appeared unto them, and they were with their husbands. And the women lusting in their minds after their forms gave birth to giants, for the watchers appeared to them as reaching unto heaven. Tell me how bad no sister is. Tell me how bad no sister is. But see, sisters, they don't have the power to overcome in this area. Only the man can stand up and rebuke the spirit that's behind the one that's controlling our sister. And if you ain't man enough to stand up and rebuke it, to make a sister understand how valuable she is, how important she is to the Most High, how you make her understand what's at the root of this thing that she is doing. Women don't even bother me anymore. And when they do come to me, they come to me in the form of respect. But they don't even bother me no more. It's almost like it's something that be on me. Yeah, a woman can come and ask me to dance or something of that nature, but they don't feel nothing permeating from me. They don't feel nothing coming out of me that desires to be attracted to them in this way. And even when they are attracted, you know what I'm saying? I know how to calm them down and bring them back to their senses and make them to understand. Come on, baby. You know, you too great for that. You too great for that. You know what I mean? You know I got a sweetie pie and I appreciate the compliment, but you too great of a woman to be looking at another woman's husband. You got more in you than that. You got your own husband running around in here somewhere. You just got to give yourself time for him to find you. He's coming. Allow him to ride in on a white horse and pick your handkerchief up and roll off into the sunset. You want your husband to be dedicated only to you, so you can't be tampering with stuff in that. See, they don't even fool with me because I know how to rebuke that spirit, because it's not them, it's the spirit behind it that's doing it. And that spirit knows who he can get it off on. There he come, there he come. He can get off on the one that's in pride. He can get off on the one that's, that think that his car and his money is what's catching the woman. What he don't understand is that ain't none of that got nothing to do with it. You've been set up from the very beginning. You see? A woman can set a man up on the bus stop. Let a woman pull up on a man on the bus stop looking all good. You think he gonna stay on the bus stop? Heck no. He ain't gonna stay on the bus stop. He gonna jump in the car and he'll be ready to do anything that the woman tell him to do. And when she get ready and when she get through with him, she drop him right back on the bus stop as though she never even knew him. And then he be out there feeling like a fool. So, now, you say you're a Christian? Try your Christianity, religious truth up against fornicate. I don't care what you are, from pastor to an usher. I don't care what you are. Put it up against that. Have you ever fornicated? Have you ever committed adultery? You see? Then there should be some humility that comes with everything that you love. Israelite, you say you love the Father. You say you're chosen. What are you chosen for? Have you ever fornicated? You ever been tricked? You ever been tricked by a demon that was controlling your sister? You ever abused your sister at the hands of a demon? Not knowing it? Many of our sisters are laying out, like our old preacher said, laying out like chicken bones in the Kentucky Fried Chicken parking lot, laying out because of sorry men that didn't have the power to rebuke the spirit that they was up under. And they get laying out. You done been a destructive force. Oh yeah, the spirit led you into the act of fornication. So you left 2 or 3 babies all over town. And you left that sister in a bad condition. She didn't know that it was a spirit that was controlling her. It was too powerful. because she was overcome by the spirit of fornication. But you didn't know where your place was going to be. Come on. Islamic brother. Shalom alaikum. Come on. How do you stack up when it comes to your hormones? How do you stack up when it comes to fornication? Are you married? Do thou have a wife? If you don't have a wife, are you having sex? Get out of here. You ain't got nothing to stand on. You ain't got nothing to stand on. Because the words that come from religious constructs don't mean nothing if they're not changing your life. It's something important. You got the Christian man, black man. You got the Israelite man, black man. You got the Muslim man, black man. Yet you still got the black family down to about 19% of a husband, of a wife, and children. 19% of the black family is still black family on the verge of being extinct. But you got the Christian talking about, I'm blessed, I'm highly favored. You got the Israelite talking about, I'm chosen, I'm the chosen people of God. You got the Muslim talking about Allah Akbar. But guess what? Your black families is on the verge of being extinct because you can't stay connected to one woman. And you talking about that you saved. Oh man, come on somebody. You don't hear me. We use the preacher's words. Come on, somebody, you don't hear me. You don't hear me. Do you hear me? So, we're talking about truth now. Everybody think they got truth. Truth coming at you like a lightning bolt. Coming at you like a locomotive train. Coming at you. And when you're standing in the way of real truth, you can stand there and declare, I ain't dodging no wrecks, baby. I ain't dodging no wrecks. I ain't dodging no wrecks with nobody, no matter what religious construct that they come from. Bring it on. I'm standing here like a locomotive when you start talking about truth. Let me see what's your truth. Which one of your truth is ready to run up and smack this train that's standing right here because he ain't moving. He ain't moving, not 1 minute. And if you can't get control of your hormones and you still out here fornicating and you still out here having adultery, you might as well keep your mouth closed lest you be ripped to shreds and brought to shame before all of your brothers and your sisters. That go for men and the sisters alike. But I ain't that hard on the sisters because we are supposed to be able to rebuke devils that overcome our sisters. You're going to drain everything out of your sister and pretend that Satan didn't do it. Man. So, with that being said, let me end the video. I hope everybody have a blessed day. Get your day out to a running start. This is indeed a great day to be alive. Let's make the best of it. If you're falling in these areas, it's real simple. If you confess your sin, the Most High is faithful and just to forgive you of your sins and to begin the cleansing process. I told y'all how he forgave me. And then he said, I'm going to clean you up. It took 3.5 years to get cleaned up. I'm going to clean you up. He scrubbed one arm. Then he said, give me the other arm. Raise your arm up, son. You got some dirt up under there. Let me get behind your ears. You got some dirt up on. And the Most High began to scrub me clean in the absence of allowing women to use me. And he began to scrub me. Scrub me. It scrubbed me all between my legs and everything. Everywhere the contamination was. And you know what? And I became pure. I became like a virgin again. And when I met Sweetie Pie, I was like a virgin again. And it was my children that watched what I went through. For 3.5 years. I didn't have no house. I slept in my beauty shop. And my children slept in the beauty shop with me on the weekends. And we had made us a pallet on the floor. and was about to watch us some movies, because the only thing I wanted to do is just be with my children when I got the opportunity. And so we're getting ready to watch us some movies, and the phone rang, and it was one of my big cousins. He said, "Teddy, I ain't seen you in a while, man. Where you been? Where you been?" I know everybody knew what I was going through, but I wasn't going nowhere. I was isolated. I was in a place of isolation. I wouldn't leave. I wasn't going nowhere. And he said, man, Teddy, at least come out, man. I'm going to be up the street from where your beauty shop is, man. So, man, come on out, man. I have a glass of wine with me. And the kids was on the other end. They was listening to the phone conversation like, go ahead, Daddy. Go ahead, Daddy. They figured I should have been over their mama. Well, it wasn't that I wasn't over their mama. I just hadn't completed my process, and I wasn't ready to be around women and had to deal with that type of temptation. But this time I was ready. And they said, go ahead. I said, nah, I don't feel that good about leaving y'all by yourself. But my son was about 15, and then my daughter was about 12, and and then they had the little kids. So I said, y'all sure? They said, yeah, Daddy, you need to get out the house. You got to go do something. You need to get... I'll be all right. We'll be all right, Daddy. I got him. I watch him. You know what I mean? I said, y'all sure? I said, well, okay, I'll only be gone for an hour. I'll only be gone for an hour. So I left the beauty shop, and I locked the door, and let them go. And I went on to the place, and Cuz was there, had me a bottle of Rianiti wine, and we drinking, you know what I mean? And I seen the girl that we grew up with. Actually, we lived on the same block, 2 doors away from each other, 1 house in between us. And and I went out there on the dance floor and danced. I never will forget this. Anybody ever get the chance to ask Sweetie Pie, she'll tell you. I was dancing with her, and she said, are you nervous? I said, why you say that? Because I was a great dancer. I'm still a smooth dancer even now, but she was smooth too. That's why we get along so good. But she said, because it seemed like I can feel you quivering. And I was like, I was so embarrassed. I was so embarrassed. Because yes, I was nervous. For one, I hadn't been that close to a woman in all of this time. For two, I was close to a woman that I really liked it. You know what I mean? And that was like nervousness. And she could feel me quivering on the inside. And I said, wow. So later on, I got the chance to, as we talked and exchanged numbers and everything, I got the chance to let her know, yeah, I was nervous. The reason why I was nervous is because I ain't been that close to a woman in all of this 3.5 years. I've been by myself, rocking myself to sleep. You know what I mean? I said, and now, not only do I'm close to a woman, but I'm close to a woman that's moving good with me, a woman that I know, a woman that I know got struggles like me, a woman that come from the same place that I come from, a woman that knows me, that know I ain't a perfect man. I'm dancing with that woman that's the most realistic candidate, that I'm come this close to having the woman to spend my life with, and I don't know, and I'm nervous about it all. Yep. And when I left and rolled out that parking lot, I said, Mopai, that's the type of woman I would like to have. And to hear the word, you can have her. Go back and get her. Because there was so many other times that he said, nope, that ain't the one. Nope, that ain't the one. Nope, that ain't the one. Nope, that ain't the one neither. Nope, that ain't. I was going through the wilderness. I was going around the mountain because there was some lessons that I had to learn. And I had to learn that when I got that woman, I was going to get the woman that I desired to have. I was going to get the woman that I desired to have all the way down to the last minute prayer that I prayed about the woman that I wanted to have. I wanted to have the woman that I could be living my life with until it was time for me to go. And that, he said, you can have her. Go back and get her. I went back and I got my Sweetie Pie. I snatched her off that bar stool, and she'd been with me every since then. And it was my Sweetie Pie that sent the prophetic word into my mind, sitting on a bar stool, half tipsy. She said, are you a preacher? I said, no, why would you say a thing like that? She said, I just see you speaking to a multitude of people. She said that thing on the night that I sat there and conversated with her. She said that thing right there. She asked me if I was a preacher. And I said no, because I wasn't no preacher. And I said, why? She said, because I see you speaking to a multitude of people. And when we got in church, I thought that was the prophecy coming to fulfillment. I never looked at it as a prophecy. I just looked at it as something that she said. But as things start happening and I start going here and going there to be of this church and preach over at that church, I was like, dang, sweetie pie, you was right. Look at what's happening. I'm actually speaking to multitudes of people. I didn't have no idea what she really seen. And she wasn't in nobody's church. She didn't go to nobody's church, hadn't been to nobody's church since she was a kid, and was into going out every weekend on the weekend. She went to work and went out to her favorite dancing spot, had her drinks, and she sat there on that bar and told me that, and it didn't have nothing to do with nobody saying, I'm prophesying into your life, I'm blessed. She didn't know anything about any of that stuff, no type of church life, period, and said that. I just see you speaking to a multitude of people. And when I start taking her to church, I thought that that's what it meant. Until I seen the vision that they was going to take 2 front arms and then 2 of my legs, and they was going to throw me head first down a flight of steps, telling me get out of church and don't come back. And until that happened, when I opened up the video sessions on Facebook, through Facebook Live, when they first came on, there was an explosion that started going all over the world, And when I seen that right there, it wasn't until last year or a couple of years ago that it really registered. When I said, dang, sweetie pie, do you realize that what you seen when you were sitting on that bar stool happened? Look at all the places that we done been. Look at this, that, the other. And yesterday it came right back when she called me and said, babe, your phone is ringing. It's somebody from the United Kingdom. And she said, wow, I didn't know that you was in contact with that many people. Dang, babe, they're all over the world. I said, yeah. I said, I don't say nothing about it. I said, but yeah. I said, but guess what? That came by way, and I teased her because I said, that came by way of prophetess Dana Milligan. She just, don't you say that, don't you? I ain't no prophetess. I said, but you know what? You said that you seen me speaking to a multitude of people, but we never thought that it was going to be this type of multitude of people, to where we would have access to people that would be all over the globe, all over the world, that would be listening to the video. So by that standpoint, it is a beautiful thing. But what you just heard is you heard my story dealing with fornication and adultery. You heard the worst parts of it, and then you just heard the last part of it. You know what I mean? So is it a guarantee that my marriage going to last till it's time for me to die? I can only guarantee what's on my end. I'm not going outside. You know what I mean? And I don't believe that Sweetie Pie will neither, you know. But I'm a pretty hard dude to live with sometimes. So she might just one day pack up and say, I just can't take it no more. I know you ain't cheated on me and you don't be punching on me, but I'm just sick of this, whatever it is. It can happen like that, but I'm praying that it won't happen like that. So to brothers and sisters, if you were caught in the act of fornication right now, don't be hard on yourself. Thank God for his spirit of truth that comes and convict a man's heart. Find repentance. And should you find yourself making the same mistake over and over again, that's okay. Because the race ain't given to the swift, the battle ain't given to the strong, bread ain't given to the wise, neither is favor given to men of skill. But time and chance happen to all of them. So you keep being fully aware of the weak parts of your life that you need help in, and continue to pray to the Most High and do the best that you can to overcome those things. If you're a brother and you know you got a sister that's leading you into the act of fornication, now you know that you are supposed to be the one to rebuke that spirit of fornication, because it's too powerful for her. And I remember when my father started dealing with me about, I began to call the women and told them, I couldn't do this no more. I'm sorry that I drug you out here in this water, but I can't do this no more. It's wrong. It's wrong against God. I start reading the Bible and I seen that it's wrong. And I listen to him boo-hoo and cry and all of that, because what happens is through the act of fornication, you get your hearts involved, and women fall in love because they genuinely desire to have a man to live their life with and care for them. They're not intentionally just systematically trying to trap a man. They want to trap a man. They want a man that they can get. If I can just trap the man and he can be with me and I can have somebody to love and somebody to love me, that's all I want. That's all they want. They're not intentionally doing it. When they try to trap a man and they get pregnant, oh, I got pregnant by the man of my dreams, only to find out that the man of my dreams don't want the baby because he never wanted me. You see, if men got to start standing up rebuking these things on behalf of our sisters so that we can be the people that we supposed to be. Men, we got to start holding on to our woman. If she's not good enough for you to marry, she shouldn't be good enough for you to lay with. Don't lay down with no woman unless you can marry. Sister, you got to be able to say, I'm fearfully and marvelously made, created in God's image. I'm too much woman to be opening up my quiver to anybody passing by. You got to dive in head first or leave me alone. That's what you got to have. That's the heart you got to have. You got to know that you're better, that you're built, that you're in the image of the Most High. You got to know that you are a garden. You got to know that you're a beautiful garden, that you can grow beautiful things, that roses can grow out of you, things to eat can grow. You got to know that you are a garden, and you got to be careful who you allow to come and sow seeds in you. You got to stand up and say, I'm too much woman for that. I'm too much woman to just become a trash receptacle for a man's sperm. You can't just come and dump your load in me and get up and walk away. I'm too much woman for that. I'm too much woman for that. There is an equal share of responsibility when it comes to men and women. Brother, you got to rebuke those things. You got to rebuke those things, and you got to deny. You got to put your hormones. You got to put your hormones. You got to bring them up under control, so that you can find the woman that you can be a husband to. And sister, you got to learn how to pray and give your loneliness to the Most High. Learn how to love the greatest one who ever graced the face of the earth. Learn how to love the one that made everything. Learn how to love him first so he can lead the man that he wants you to have to you. When you learn how to love the Most High. My sister made a t-shirt one day and sent it to me for Christmas. It's packed away. I never wear it. It says, a man's heart should be hidden so deep in the Most High that a woman will have to go through God to find him. I thought that was powerful, and it is powerful. Our hearts should be hidden so great and so deep in God that a man or a woman have to go through God in order to find it. When you go through it that way, you have we got to find a way to build our families back. We have to find a way to do that. And that's not going to come through talking. So all praise, honor, and glory to the Most High Heavenly Father's glorious Son.